engaging celebrity interviews, exciting updates from Christian filmmakers, movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely, and so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Faith on Film. We've got a very exciting episode. Holly, we're going to talk about a movie that's coming out this August 30 that you and I both got to see, and it's a fantastic movie. But we had a little part in something special of it, didn't we?
We did. Well, first of all, I loved the movie, and I thought REAGAN was an amazing movie. And it's got so many things that go beyond the politics of the man and beyond what he just did. So before we talk about what we did, let's take a look at the trailer and let everyone else see what REAGAN is all about.
I will be frank with you that as a citizen, I would not like to see any political party outlawed on the basis of its ideology, because I still believe, Mr. Chairman, that democracy can handle it.
I was a brand new KGB officer, given my first intelligence assignment. A certain actor and union leader.
Dutch, there's a purpose for your life.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're gonna have to stand up to him.
It's my boy!
There's about to be another war right here in Hollywood. The commies on one side, the mob on the other. And you're right in the middle, son.
If you put as much work into your career as you do making your speeches, you'd have an Oscar by now.
Hello, I'm Nancy Davis.
Hello, Nancy Davis. I'm Ron Reagan.
I'm curious, Ron.
What would you say is the issue of our time?
No question about it. Communism and the Soviet Union.
Get in the game. Run for office.
It's you.
I'm running for governor, and I would like your vote.
I forgot your name.
Do his initials help, RR?
Honey, Roy Rogers is here. And he's running for governor.
Ronnie, remember when we met? You told me that you wanted to make a difference in this world. You know what you have to do.
Governor Reagan again, typically, is against such a proposal.
There you go again.
But he was not afraid to take us on.
There's nothing a retired governor can do about the Soviets, but a president.
Now you can do a thing or two.
Welcome to your life.
I was a lifeguard on a river.
There's no turning back.
And I learned how to read the currents. Not just the ones on the surface, but also the ones deep underneath the water. I am about to start the biggest war of this century, and I'm not going to fire a single shot.
You're gonna blow up 8 years of diplomacy.
Well, if you think that got their undies in a wad, you just wait.
What did the president know, and when did he know it?
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wants to rule the world.
As you can see, it's so much more than just what you probably thought you knew about REAGAN. This is an amazing film. And I was excited to actually work on this about 3 years ago. I was called to do some behind-the-scenes things on it. And then again, they called me to put together a half-hour show. And of course, Isaac is just amazing at editing and partner and producing. So we together worked on this special. It's for pastors, and it's going to be actually for Christian television. So you'll probably be able to see it. We just can't show you anything now because, it's still getting done and formulated. But what we want to tell you about is, and inform you about is, there are faith aspects in this film. So for those of you who are thinking, well, is it going to be anything about Christian or is it just about the politics? If you know REAGAN, you know anything about him, to know anything about his past, he was a Christian. And even more so, more importantly, his mother was the foundation. He had an alcoholic father. He loved his father. It's not that he didn't, but he lost his father earlier in life, and it was his mother who really gave him the foundation and instilled in him a belief in himself that he had purpose and that God was doing something special because he had a real good memory. And she realized he remembered scripture, he remembered and memorized scripture and things about the Bible. So his mother, Nell, was an instrumental part in really everything that happened to him later on in life. And so you're going to see this in the behind the scenes thing that we did, but also you're going to see it in the film. And it was really interesting to me. I think you'll agree, Isaac, on how much influence that early young years had on the rest of his life.
Yep. The movie, of course, really kind of showed us and taught us a lot about things that maybe we had no idea about the president, especially because it went on into his childhood, his early life. But one thing that I found rather interesting, there's a scene in the movie in which his mother, he was bullied. Reagan was bullied as a kid. And his mother, I guess.
And the reason he was is because he wore glasses and he was kind
of a goofy kid. Yeah, he was kind of it was just kind of a little nerdy kind of kid. But his mother, I guess, felt that he needed to learn how to stand up to bullies. And there's this scene which is just unbelievable. He's being chased by all these kids, like 3 kids, I think, and they're wanting to beat him up. But he gets to his mom. He gets to his house, and there's his mom. And his mom literally tells him that he needs to face these bullies, turns him around and says, "Get out there, because if not, they will always bully you." And then she went inside the house, she looked out, and he went out.
And she shut the door.
Shut the door.
She pushes him down the steps and go face him.
It's amazing. You don't see him getting beat up, but you can hear that he's getting punched, and she just kind of looks at him, and you can tell there's pain there. But she endures the pain because she feels that he needs to learn something. I think of that, and I don't know that I could do that. I don't know that I could send my kid out to get beat up, and I'll just watch him, get beat up by 3 kids. But that was a powerful scene.
It was a powerful scene, and there was 3 of them, by the way, to one. And I guess it did change the course because he stood up to him and he learned how to do that. And what happened later on in life when he had Russia and everyone bullying, and even in America, where the colleges were protesting and there was protests and things going on, and even with his Hollywood background and taking a stand against communism, he does not let any of them bully him. He stood up. So you know what? Although I don't think I could send my child out, I would probably go out with him and want to tackle those kids myself. I'm sure in the wrong way. But you know what? He learned from that. But you know what? Everyone thinks, oh, his life was all, great and everything went well for Reagan. Well, he didn't. Okay. He got married to Jane Wyman first. And when he got married, her career was going up. His was kind of going down. They had children. They lost a child to death. He lost a child, got divorced. So, and really his career went downhill to the point where he didn't know what he was going to do. And that's when he met Nancy. But it shows the failures. So it's not just a life of success. He didn't come into greatness till he got later into his presidency. It was in those early years of and not even early, 30s and 40s, that, he struggled. And in fact, he met with his mom when he was later on in life. And he said, "Mom, I'm going to be like my dad. I'm going to be like Jack. I was a failure. And I come to nothing." And she said, "You're not that. You're not your dad. Don't listen to him. God still has a plan for you. God still has great things in store." And so again, mothers and fathers, how important are your words to your adult children? Even when they're in their 30s and 40s and 50s, or you still can speak words into your adult children that still matter and make a difference in their life.
Yep. And there's another thing about Reagan is, while he was strong in his convictions, but he still knew how to be friends with people that were completely opposite of what what his convictions were. Not to change his convictions, but to at least be able to have conversation, have dialogue, something we don't seem to have anymore. And there's a beautiful scene. Now, I love that the movie starts with his assassination, okay? Not because I like assassination, or the attempt, I should say. And Tip O'Neill came to visit him at the hospital. And there's some funny lines there that you're just really going to enjoy. But it was nice. They actually did a prayer together. And, again, that shows that even though they may have been enemies on, as the political side, but they were friends outside of that. That was very interesting.
And that also helped Reagan with Russia. With Chernobyl and all the Russian leaders, it helped them also be able to go in, stand firm, but be friends and kind of come together, find a common ground. And I agree with you, Isaac, that is missing in politics today.
Yes,
we are not close there. And it's sad because that's how we used to be in America. And it's sad. But this movie has so much, folks. It's got that. It's got so much more. But if you're wondering if it's going to show the faith, it does in a strong way.
It does.
And it has great teachings and principles for all ages, really. But, your older kids and adults, and teenagers are going to learn a lot about a president I wish we had today.
Yes. So get out there and see it August 30th. It premieres in theaters nationwide. Now, Holly, we are now going to go to something else that you got a chance to do, and that was to have an interview with two people talking about Bitcoin.
Brian and Kelly Estes, and they did a documentary on Bitcoin. It's God Bless Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the clip. It is profound, people. You're going to learn a lot about Bitcoin in this one.
The dollar will dramatically lose its purchasing power. The more they print, the more it gets diluted.
Who it's good for is the people at the tippy top.
Because in order to keep the system going, they have to keep printing money.
And Bitcoin is that tool that allows us to beat the money printer.
Bitcoin is powerful in a way that is money that does not discriminate.
Bitcoin is built by the people for the people.
We're in a phased transition of society. It's more than a financial revolution.
Government fiat currency is not just money. It steals from the poor and gives it to the rich.
If you don't have the choice of how you spend or save your money, you don't live in a free society.
If you have cell phones and smartphone, you can have your bank with you everywhere.
You can be anywhere in the world and there's an ability to transfer it or use it. That's a huge advantage.
And that's why I think that the magic of the Bitcoin is.
I'm excited for the future of Bitcoin because we're just really beginning to understand the advantages of it.
Bitcoin economically arms everybody.
Bitcoin is a means to fight tyranny, to fight corruption.
A central bank can be a place of great mischief.
My perspective is that Bitcoin does fix everything.
Bitcoin does represent freedom.
Bitcoin is truth.
Anyone can be a part of the Bitcoin economy. It's like a good church.
Because it's an ethical ideology, there are many people that feel very spiritual about it.
I think that Bitcoin has those characteristics to be not just the most Islamic form of money, but the most Jewish and the most Christian form of money as well.
Bitcoin is just another step in the technological development of how we can serve God better.
It is trying to remove politics from money.
Bitcoin can make the world a better place.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Well, welcome, Brian and Kelly. Excited to have you on today because this is a subject and topic I probably never would have had or dealt with because I don't know anything about it, but I loved the documentary. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Professionally done. I mean, well done. This was, you guys went out of your way. Whoever produced and did it, it was great. You premiered this at the Bitcoin convention, didn't you?
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, it was last week on Thursday. July 25th, the movie launched at the Bitcoin convention. The Bitcoin convention is the largest one in the world. There were over 20,000 people there, including President Trump, who came in and talked to the Bitcoiners there for the first time. Also, there was Robert F. Kennedy, who's running for president. He spoke the day before Trump. And so 2 out of 3 candidates were there. The Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris, was invited to come too, but she declined the invitation. But yeah, it's the Bitcoin community is starting to attract a lot of attention. We met a lot of other politicians there trying to court the vote of over 50 million Bitcoiners who own Bitcoin today. And so the politicians have realized this is they need those votes. They need those Bitcoiner votes.
And Trump was actually endorsing and backing. He was like, hey, we got to get into Bitcoin. If we're not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it. So I heard his comments on that and how he addressed that. Okay, I'm going to ask you in layman's terms, so bear with me, because my sister has dabbled in this. I'm not real knowledgeable. I tried to do something with it and failed. It was some app that I was on and tried to do that, and it didn't even make sense to me. So I'm probably representing a lot of people like that who just don't know much about it. But the movie, God Bless Bitcoin, let's tell what your documentary explains and does. Is this for everyone to understand a little bit more about the Bitcoin world?
Absolutely. So what we set out to do 2 years ago was first to explain to people what is wrong with our money today. I think everybody can agree that our money is broken. We can't afford, despite how many jobs we have, to make ends meet if we are wage earners. So people are having to make hard decisions like, do I fill up my tank all the way or do I save a little and put out for groceries? What we are earning is not buying what it should, and that is because of the printing of money. And every time our government prints more dollars and puts them into circulation, it takes the value of ours and it drops it. And so that's the first thing we set out to do, is really to explain what's going on, because a lot of people just don't understand. They blame themselves. It's not anything you're doing wrong. You're not broken. The system is broken. Then we look at Bitcoin, and we, on a macro level, explain what it is in a way that I think is easily digestible, because it is complicated. You are not the only one. So we try to keep it in easy to understand terms. We created 3D animations to take some of the ideas that are complicated and make them more digestible. And then we look at, and we compare and contrast Bitcoin with our current system through a moral and ethical lens. And that is where we bring in religious leaders from around the world's religions to explain to us what the sacred texts, meaning the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, say about money and how we're to use it. And so that is really what the film is about.
Okay, well, here's just a common question. How do we use Bitcoin in everyday life? Is it something you're going to go to the grocery store and buy groceries with? Is it something you're going to be able to use that way? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
So yeah, we're not there yet, to answer your question. So back in 2014, the IRS declared Bitcoin as property. And so it's kind of like Apple stock or Nvidia stock. It's property. You really can't spend it, because every time you spend it, you have to file what's called a Schedule D and report that with the IRS. And it's just too cumbersome to use it as currency. So we think that was done on purpose to slow down the adoption of Bitcoin. So what people use it for in the United States is more of a savings account. So, you spend your dollars, and your dollars are your checking account. But your savings account, when you work and you pay your bills after you get your paycheck, that money that's left over, what are you going to do with that? If you keep it in dollars and the government prints more dollars, those dollars buy fewer and fewer goods in the future. So you have to put those dollars somewhere to store them. And so Bitcoin is like a savings account, because there's a maximum supply of 21 million, and no matter what, you can't create more than 21 million Bitcoin. It's the best form of money humans have ever created. So that's what we explained in the movie. You really want to use Bitcoin as a savings account and use your dollars as your checking account.
Okay, but if something's wrong with money and wrong with dollars, and you're putting this money in this account, is it recognized by banks? Is it recognized to be able to cash in at any time? Or are you saying you really can't use it to cash in? It's just there.
No, you can use it to convert it back. You could, like, for example, if you have PayPal or Venmo, there's all sorts of other apps like Fidelity and Schwab and Robinhood. You could, save your money in Bitcoin. And when, you want to convert it back into dollars to go buy something, you just hit the sell button and convert a little bit of your Bitcoin back into dollars, and then go buy the good or services that you want.
Okay. We live in a day where, years ago, if you said this, you would think we were conspiracy theorists. But now I think it's kind of reality. What if there's a power outage? What if the bank's like, okay, something's wrong. You can't get money out of the banks. Everything is shut down. Is Bitcoin lost forever? Is it somewhere where you can eventually retrieve it? Can people use it in that dire emergency like that?
Mm-hmm. So Bitcoin is, it's a ledger. So we use ledgers every day. When you move money in between banks, the banks are moving their money between ledgers, and those ledgers reconcile. So as long as the internet is working, and the internet is decentralized, so no one controls it, then you could use your Bitcoin. If you want to self-custody your Bitcoin, like you do, like if you have gold in your house or dollar bills in your house, you could do that too. You can move your Bitcoin off of the ledger, off of an exchange, and put it on basically it's like a USB hard drive, and you could hold your Bitcoin there. Or you could actually use what's called a paper wallet, like the early guys, or early people did. They would just write down their private keys on a piece of paper and hold those, like, in a safe place. And so if you ever need to get access to your Bitcoin, you have access to it.
Wasn't there a horror story about someone who had this huge Bitcoin account years ago and he forgot what the code was or something? And maybe that's a legend or something, but it was still there.
It's a horror story for real. You have to hold on to your keys. You cannot lose those.
Yeah, your private keys are your access to your Bitcoin account. So it's like having money in your wallet or in your purse. If you lose your purse or lose your wallet and your cash is in there, it's gone forever. So if you lose your private keys, then you've lost your Bitcoin forever. So, there's a lot of, self-sovereignty and responsibility that comes along with managing your own money.
Okay, let's talk about God Bless Bitcoin. Where can people see this amazing documentary?
So you can go to our website, godblessbitcoin.com, and the movie is there free for you to watch and to download. So you could have a screening if you'd like, with your local church community or with a friend group. So we made it free so that as many people could watch it as possible. Our goal is 1 billion views. We want as many people as possible to understand that Bitcoin is hope. You could also just go to YouTube and go to God Bless Bitcoin there and watch it there for free.
Okay, and then on this documentary, for people that have no idea, it's not, I thought it was really interesting. It was fascinating. It's not a boring, charts and graphics and nothing. We had a lot of different, very VIP people, guests talking about it and how they use it and the good of it.
Yes.
Yeah, we had Mark Cuban in there, Tony Hawk, John Sally, NBA basketball champion. We have Bitcoin experts in there, like Kathy Wood and Michael Saylor. Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he's in the movie. And then Kelly went out and found a bunch of religious leaders.
I did. So I'm Christian. I'm, born Catholic, and I use the Bible. But there are all sorts of religions out there, and so we wanted to see what they had to say. So I found 2 rabbis. I found a Protestant minister. I found a Buddhist, and I also found a Muslim leader and a Hindu leader to explain what all of the sacred texts have to say about how we are to use money. So we found experts in all the fields to try to just take a good look at what makes for an ethical and moral form of money.
Yeah, and what we really found out is that all these world's religions, they have the same core tenets.
Yeah.
We're all more alike than what we think. And if you really dig down to the primary layer of ethics and morality, we're all pretty similar. And it's, there are a lot of people telling us that all these religions are really different, but at the core tenets of thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not kill and, treat people fairly, that's how our money should work.
Right.
Oh, I thought it was, again, well done, amazing, interesting with all the guests. And I do think it's a good idea for churches to show this to their congregation. It is a good idea for schools. Don't you think? Don't you wish this was in colleges and you're getting a younger generation in high school?
We actually are making a curriculum right now so we can bring it to universities. And by trade, I'm a teacher. And what I can tell you about both our public and our private schools is that we do not teach financial literacy. And, I think that is a core of finding, making an abundant life for yourself is understanding how our money works and understanding how to make it work for you. So 100% it is going to be in curriculums and as part of the education system.
I was raised years ago and loved my parents, mom and dad, oldest of 4 girls. My mom was a teacher. I had to smile when you said teacher. But I was never taught about money, taught about how to spend it, how to save it, what to do with it, how to invest in it. And I don't know if it's because my dad had 4 girls and it was kind of like, oh, well, and there wasn't a son. I don't know. But I was never taught that. And I wish I was. I wish I would have been. Because it's something so essential. And fortunately, I've had 3 grown children who are all good in that and taught themselves and married to people who care and are. So, but it's really important for that younger generation, especially now.
Right. The government schools don't teach us about money. Even the private schools don't.
Yeah.
I went to some of the best universities in the world, University of Illinois, Washington University, Cambridge University, London School of Economics. It was only about 10 years ago I actually learned how money really works. And that's why we wanted to tell this story in very simple terms. You know, our monetary system that we've been on for the last 53 years, since we went off the gold standard in 1971, it's not ethical the way our money works. For example, you know, $1,000 that you earned 6 years ago that's sitting in your bank account only buys $520 worth of goods and services today. What happened to the other 480? Well, the government took it by diluting your purchasing power by printing more money. And people just don't understand what that means. And when you watch the movie, the first 20 minutes, we explain to you how that works. So now you know, like, why you're working so hard and you can't keep up with your bills.
Right.
And so we just want to explain to people, this is the reason you're working so hard and you can't pay your bills and you're struggling.
Absolutely.
And there's a better system. And you can opt out of this system and go into the new system, which is Bitcoin. And that's more ethical and moral.
Well, I know I've already got, my sister's like, great, I want to see the documentary. So there's already a party she wants to do for Bitcoin. So I've already got your first party booked. I know that.
Yay, thank you.
And we'll get more people to go to the website. Again, it's Bitcoin. Say it again, godblessbitcoin.com.
You got it. godblessbitcoin.com.
Okay, and people can go on there and they can watch it for free. And then also, if they have any other questions, you guys are doing follow-up. Is there any information they can get, or books or materials, or is that on your website?
Yeah, so actually it's another website. If you go to a website called hope.com, HOPE, that website is dedicated for Bitcoin education. So, you know, if you want to learn more about Bitcoin, go to hope.com. And the whole website is about Bitcoin education.
Well, God bless both of you for what you've done and for making this, effort to get something, a training and teaching. And, in these last days, we are to become knowledgeable. We as Christians are supposed to be arming ourselves with whatever we can do to be aware of what's going on in this world, because it's volatile at best. And, whatever. And I love that first 20 minutes of your film. It so irritated me when I saw what was going on with the dollar.
Good.
I was so mad.
Yes, you should be.
It was like, and you can't even afford to buy gold now. So forget that. I mean, trying to get the gold or silver. So it's really hard. So I think this is going to open a lot of people's eyes, and especially young people, parents, grandparents, get your kids and grandkids to go in and watch this online and to educate themselves. I think they'll be interested. And for churches and pastors too. Brian and Kelly, thank you so much for being with us, and God bless you and everything you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Okay, Isaac, I have to be honest. As much as they explained everything, and as much as I feel that the documentary shows, I still don't really know how to do it, or I don't even know if I would trust to do it. So I think there's a lot we still have to learn about Bitcoin, but it is very interesting. And for those who know that they know that they know, I mean, hats off to you, because it's kind of difficult for me, but anyway, it was interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I get the concept of, a different monetary system. I just don't know yet how it works. And one concern that I had was, okay, well, you can't really use it to do commerce. I can't go to the store right now and, buy a dozen eggs and bacon and pay with Bitcoin. So how does that work? And they did tell me, as we had a private conversation, it was, it's used as like if you would put money, or if you would get gold, if you put money in the bank, it's a deposit. It's basically a savings account. So anyway, I'm not ready. Personally, I'm not ready to go there yet. But still great interview, Holly. But we've come to the end of our show.
I love our Reagan thing. Didn't you love the Reagan? I hope everyone now is excited about Reagan and the faith behind the movie. And we'll talk more about it and show you more in the coming weeks.
Amen. See you all next week.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.